it's a bit like Narnia, a bit like the wardrobe. You step through there and you come into a completely different time, a completely different era, a completely different way of thinking. I'm James Eden, and I am the great-grandson and founder of Private White V.C. Private White V.C. is the world's best kept secret, much to my annoyance and irritation. So we are a luxury menswear business based here in Manchester, in the factory where every single item of clothing is designed, developed and painstakingly made here. So the deeds to this part of the building date back to 1853, and this is our store, our showroom, and it's where guys and girls can step back in time. They enter via the big red door on the corner that's been there for over 170 years, and it's a very, very special room. It's full of our very, very special clothes, but it's a very unique proposition and a very unique experience, because we are unfortunately the last remaining clothing factory here in Manchester, and back in the glorious days of Cottonopolis, when this region was really the beating heart of the world's cotton and raincoat industry. Alas, we're the only ones left. Private White was my great-grandfather. He was a private in the First World War, and he was stationed in 1917 in Mesopotamia, now known as Iraq. And then after the war, he received the Victoria Cross, which is what the VC stands for, and then he stepped through those red doors on the corner in need of employment, and he worked his way up from apprentice through to seamster, through to general manager, subsequent owner, and he passed away at the end of the 1940s, and the business moved on to other family owners, and I bought the business back about 15 years ago, and since then I've been dedicating all my time, effort, resources, insanity to making some of the best clothes in the world, using the same traditional time-honoured techniques that my great-grandfather embraced all those years ago. In a tradition for us, the cutting room, which is on the top floor, so the cloth comes through the warehouse, goes up the hoist, and that's where the product is manually laid up. There's no automatic cutting machinery, there's no automatic spreaders, it's laid up by hand and cut out by hand. So once the panels have been cut, using the patterns that are drafted downstairs in the pattern room, cut panels are then sent down the room towards the girls who do the majority or as much prep work as possible. The panels are there bundled together, so we'll put all the front to back sleeves together with the appropriate zips and labels and studs and whatever. It's then bundled up, wrapped up in a little hamper, for want of a better word, and that's then dropped onto the relevant assembly section. And then once the garments are all stitched together, they are taken for buttonholing, buttoning, studding, a final pressing, quality control, and then a final quality control which is on the ground floor on the other side of the shop, and then into the warehouse for dispatch. Our processes, our techniques, the people are very, very, very static. They're tried and tested, and they're the same. So there's a lot of repetition in terms of how we approach things. So even though most factories rely on continuity and scale and making the same thing over and over again, like shelling peas, fortunately, we're not like that. We're not set up by that. So our past is firmly entrenched here. We are still here, still thriving, and the expectation is to be here for another 170 years.